hard to believe, but it's been 25 years since I worked as a cashier in a local convenience store, not in this area, in a different area, but local to the area that I was in at the time. And the funny thing about it is I found that I was able relatively easily to do things like calculate the prices that people were going to pay for the various things that they were buying in the store. So somebody would pick something up and I'd add it in my head, and then I'd add in the next thing in my head and the next thing. And then I would more or less calculate the tax to give them some idea basically what they were going to pay while they were there. So you could say that for that sort of thing, I was a pretty good estimator of prices. And since I do almost all the shopping in my house today, I have a pretty good head for that too. I can go, yeah, I'm probably going to spend about this much when I get to the register. Not so easy to tell about gas these days because, of course, the prices fluctuate pretty severely. That having been said, I want to talk today about the idea the price is wrong. Today on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Monday, the 15th of November of 2021. Thank you for everyone who's here, whether on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube. Thank you for coming along. Remember, Rumble is my preferred platform. And again, the subject for today is going to be the price is wrong. Let me go ahead and read my notes so that you have some idea what I'm going to be talking about, and then I'll get on with what I'm actually discussing. Though I don't watch game shows these days, last one I cared at all about was Jeopardy, but these days I really watch no television at all most of the time. I would venture to say it's likely that old show, The Price is Right, is still running. By the way, if you hear a little bit of noise in the background, you're going to have to deal with it. I do. Right now they're working on my neighbor's house, and that's just how that has to be. For my part, though, I could do okay with guessing prices. I was never very good at doing so on that where that show was concerned. The large reason is that most of what they had to guess the price of, I would pretty much never have been able to afford, much less actually have bought. I've noticed that people seem to have virtually no idea the cost of certain things, either in currency or in, quote, hidden expense, end of quote, to which they seem to pay little attention. An excellent example would be electric cars. Besides the cost of supplying electricity to them, which almost always involves fossil fuels and transmission over moderate to long distances, the fact is most people have no idea what goes into making the batteries on which such vehicles run. Both in terms of expense and in terms of environmental cost, it can be said the outlay is far from low. Add to this the reality that the resources used to make the storage units are limited and often also, like petroleum, quote, owned, end of quote, and supplied by foreign nations not in good relations with the United States, and things really start to look bad. And I want to point out something here. For petroleum, we could at least control that if we chose to do so. We don't. That's our bad, you could say. The fact is, the real cost, in so many ways, with much of this process, are hidden. The real costs are hidden, right? People forget that the energy used to charge such vehicles has to be generated in an electric power plant somewhere. Yes, they can recharge themselves some, but they almost all require that you actually keep them charged or get them charged somewhere. And let's be fair, this is far from the only example proponents of green policies don't properly account what will be spent to make things happen. This is not nearly the only example of that. There are literally dozens of such examples. Imagine you want to renovate or rebuild every building in the country to make them supposedly more energy efficient. Do you realize? Now, I bring this up because this is part of what the Green New Deal had in it, as I understood it. Do you not realize the required building materials to do that must be created? Are you not aware you'll be trashing a bunch of old materials because they must be replaced by supposedly better ones? Look, my next door neighbor is having their windows redone, and all of the old windows are probably going to go either to, if they're lucky, to a reuse facility, but really most likely they're just going to be trashed. All of that's just going to be trashed. I understand what they're doing, but that's what you need to know. So you need to know that those old materials are going to be trashed and new ones have to be made. Have we stopped caring about landfills? And the cost involved, both economically and environmentally, in doing such things will likely not be recouped for decades. I said would, and I think that's actually more fair because I don't think that's actually going to happen the way they think it is. The same goes for creating solar solutions. Besides all of this, the amount of land that would have to be used for solar or wind isn't really being considered at all either. You can try to sell the current green agendas as being sensible, but beside the fact that the U.S. and other developed nations have been working steadily to reduce consumption and done a pretty fine job making them comparatively minor, quote, polluters, end of quote, when put next to the likes of China and India, the likely cost of most of those initiatives can't help but be astronomical. Do you really think the price is right? Or is it honestly horribly wrong? Okay, I'm done with my notes. Let's get on with the subject. Here we go again with a click, we're done. Because really I've said what needs to be said in my notes, but I'm still going to go ahead and continue to discuss this a little bit because I want you to know that there are a lot of this sort of things where people are not really paying attention to what they should be doing with regard to, let's put it this way, where they're not really paying attention to what the costs will be for what they're doing. And we're not just talking about economics. We're talking about environmental cost for the things those folks are doing. This is what you need to understand. When you take all of the innards out of a building or tear that building down and rebuild it, all of the stuff that went to make that building is probably going to end up in a trash pile somewhere, in a big pile somewhere, just sitting there, taking who knows how long to fall to bits so that it's no longer there. And parts of that are going to take forever, and some of it is literally asbestos and stuff that's still stuck in buildings that people don't know about. So we're going to have other potential environmental impacts. And then, like I say, we've got to go ahead and make new product that actually meets the standards and the requirements for what we want to have in those places. We have to build new product, make new product for that, and then put all of that in. Yes, it's true that it helps to create jobs, but at what cost to the environment and at what cost to the economy of the United States? And I'm not talking about the economy from a governmental perspective because it's not really going to be heavily involved in that process. I'm talking about what's it going to do to people who have to tear down that 60-story building, 50-story building, 20-story building, 10-story building, and rebuild it or gut it and redo it. You saw instances where people said that was necessary for things like asbestos. Well, now you would have to do things. Oh, and then there are interesting other side effects. I can't remember if it was Chicago or New York, but somebody was building a building. May have been Donald Trump, may have been somebody else. I don't remember now. And they had decided they were going to use the no-flush toilets, which, by the way, I think are a horrible idea. Mostly they do not do the job that they're needed to do. The trick, to me, is to reduce the amount of flush time you need to actually accomplish your end, but it is not to make no-flush toilets. I think they're stinky, nasty as an idea. But so they were going to build these toilets that did not require inbound plumbing because they didn't flush. They didn't get water coming into them at all. Somebody went pee or whatever, excuse my French, but went to the bathroom and the stuff that was created was just somehow eliminated through some means other than water. Well, guess what? The local plumbers union had a conniption. And they said, no, we have to put pipe in. We have to put pipe in. It doesn't matter if it ever gets used, we have to put pipe in. So they actually had the additional expense when they did that of putting pipe in that was not going to be used. This is the reality. Now, to be fair, I think that probably would have been a prudent thing to do anyway, just because at some point, if you decided you didn't like the no-flush stuff, you had the ability to switch back to the stuff that was normal. In all of this, what I'm saying is this one thing. I don't believe a lot of people are accounting the costs for what it is that they're talking about doing, and that includes both economic cost and environmental cost. Amazingly enough, I'm up on my time, so I need to go ahead and wrap things up. This is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Monday, the 15th of November, 2021. That means tomorrow will be Tuesday, the 16th of November, 2021. Hope you're having a good beginning of your work week this week. Thank you for visiting me on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. Remember that Rumble is my preferred platform. You can give me a boxing glove or a plus sign on Rumble as a positive feedback. You can give me a minus sign as a negative one if you choose to do that. You can give me a thumbs up or a like on YouTube if you want to. You can give me a thumbs down or a dislike. The thumbs up then would be obviously positive and the thumbs down negative. Remember that anywhere I put my content, if there's an ability to comment, I will do everything that I can to look and see whether or not people have commented. I will try and take in whatever it is that they're saying, and I will do my best to comment if I feel that there's any reason for me to do that, to respond. Right? If I feel there's any need or reason to do that, I will obviously, of course, thumbs up or plus or whatever comments that I think are good comments, and maybe the ones that I think are not so great sometimes. Subject for today has been the price is wrong. And tomorrow we're going to talk on a subject I think I probably covered before, but I wanted to cover it from a sort of a more pragmatic perspective, and that is good character. Hope you're having a good day today. Hope everything is going well for you, and hopefully we will see you again on Tuesday's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Monday, November 15th of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that, and you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.